Good day, students. In today's class, we're going to be talking about the large-scale retailers, part 1. I am Olawale Gbenusola, again to teach you for today's lesson in commercial department. So, our next stage, we're going to be checking through our lesson objectives. Our lesson objectives for today, we should be able to, by the end of the lesson, you should be able to know the meaning of large-scale retailers, list the characteristics of a large-scale retailers, state the advantages and disadvantages of a large-scale retailers, state the types of a large-scale retailers, and differentiate between the small-scale and the large-scale retailers. Okay, for a start, we are going to discuss about the meaning of a large-scale retailer. A large-scale retailer is a type of trade under the Home Trade classification in which either a single type of goods or variety of goods is being made available to a large number of consumers in a big shop under a single roof, or may be made available at the convenience of customers. A large-scale retailer has a big kind of an space that occupies different kinds of goods for the availability of the final consumer, in order for them to have access to different varieties of goods to be purchased. Now, unlike the small scale that deals in small size of retail trade, the large scale deals with in a large capacity with a large commodity for customers to be able to have access to whenever they want. It is the link between the wholesaler or manufacturer and consumers of the product. A large-scale retailer is like serves as a bridge between the wholesaler, manufacturer, and consumers alike, which means that the large-scale retailer was the one that serves as the connection, as the one that serves as the agent of connection between the consumer. Those are the people that purchase and consumes the item, and the producer of the items. What are the characteristics of a large-scale retailer? A large-scale retailer requires a large amount of capital. Before you can be classified as a large-scale retailer, before you can endeavor to involve yourself in the business being a large-scale retailer, you need a large amount of resources, either maybe money or materials or human capital. You need a large amount to get it started and running. B, operates mainly in urban areas. It is very rare for us to see a large-scale retailer operating in the rural area, that is the villages, the developed areas. They are mostly found in the cities because they are much more closer to those that needed the items most. C, they buy goods mainly in large quantities. Yes, a large-scale retailer buys goods on a wide and large scale for them to be able to sell to the consumers without even waiting for it to be exhausted, because it keeps coming in like that. So they buy goods in large quantity from a wholesaler or directly from the producer. A large-scale retailer buys goods probably from an wholesaler, depending on the kind of link or the chance of distribution that exists in that particular environment, or directly from the producer. That means the person, the people, the company that produce or manufacturing the item or the goods that are being sold in the society. They are therefore allowed large trade discounts and other favorable credit facilities. Now, as a large-scale retailer, you have access to being offered large trade discount. Probably, what I mean by discount is like, if an item, for example, now a bread is being sold for like 200 naira, buying a large amount of loaves of bread, instead of the normal 200 naira be charged per one, there can be a 20 discount, that is 20 over 100 times the actual amount to be paid. So there will be kind of calculation, there will be kind of a reduction in the price for it to be paid on that particular item. Our credit facilities, you can, if you are a known large-scale retailer, you can be allowed to buy some items and pay maybe like during a particular period of time, to pay back without being pressurized to for you to pay before purchasing the item. It requires the services of a specialist such as a salesperson and accountant. Earlier on, we discussed about before you can involve yourself in buying or being involved as a large-scale retailer, you need a large amount of capital. That involves also human capital. So as a human capital, which involves people that will have to be working along with you as the owner of a large-scale business. So that means a salesperson to assist you and an accountant to monitor the financial aspects of it. Now, moving to the advantage of a large-scale retailer, they buy goods in bulk at cheaper rates. We have discussed about that in the last period. That is buying goods on a large, wider rate for them to have a cheaper price to pay for it. And a large-scale retailer also helps to advertise goods because the retailer is the one that is close by, is much closer to the consumer. So it even helps to advertise the latest products in town to the consumer. They build their own warehouse. And if you want to buy goods on a large scale, on a large proportion, you need to have a kind of a house. Also means that a warehouse for you to be able to store your items in it for future purposes, for future references. They operate their own mode of transportation. As a retailer, you must have your own kind of vehicle or your own kind of distribution mode of transportation to be able to distribute the items to the consumers or to the nearest shops, to the small scale retailers that will be able to be purchasing the items without them being stressed. Now, what are the disadvantages of a large scale retailer? A large scale retailer is difficult to manage because if you don't have enough hands, enough resources to run it, you might eventually run into debt, and the retailer can easily pack up the business. It requires a large capital to establish. Yes, it requires a large capital of money to establish, a large amount of money to establish. Someone that wants to establish on a large scale must be able to afford a large amount of money and resources to be able to run the business. We also have a large overhead expenses and running costs. Yes, someone that is running a large place of that has to involve business and running a business. You spend money for other expenses like water, NEPA. Sorry, I said NEPA. Power supply, and so on. So for salaries, wages of workers. So lots of personal touch with customers. When you get like someone that needs to be supplying, might lose that touch. The needs might lose the needs, the interaction between those that need a particular item, a particular period. Probably he or she might have been carried away with other issues in the business. Now, what are the types of a large-scale retailer? We have departmental stores, we have the multiple chain stores, we have the mail order house, the consumer cooperative stores, the supermarkets. We have like ShopRite, Bata, and so on and so forth. Before the end of the lesson, we'll show some images, some pictures that has to do with examples of types of large-scale retailers. We also have hire purchase and installment shops. You can see here the pictures of the small-scale retailer, which will also be presented after this lesson. We have the small-scale retailer. Under small-scale, we have peddler, hawker, small store trader, mobile shop, specialist shop, general store. Now, under the general scale retailer, we have the multiple chain store. Now, we have the multiple chain store. Example, we have McDonald's, we have the variety store, we have the mail order business, probably like Jumia and Co. We have departmental stores, we have the supermarket like ShopRite and Just Right. We have the hyper store and super store. Also, we have like that. You can see an example of a large scale retailer discount house. They give discount to whatever products you are buying. Their own care discount stores, all the pictures that we have here are just concerning on discount house. Wherever you buy there, they give you discount on anything you buy, anything you purchase. We also have the multiple chain stores. We have the Bata, we have the KFC, we have the Pizza Hut. We also have departmental stores whereby they sell different kinds of items in the different rooms. Maybe probably fashion separate. They have mechanical. They have the electronic separate and all that and so on and so forth. This is where I'm going to end my lesson. In summary, before I end my lesson, in summary for what we discussed, we run through large scale retailers, the types, the advantages and disadvantages, the characteristics, and we show some examples of what they entails. Thank you very much for listening to my pep talk. I really appreciate it. Thank you once again.